Have you been thinking about how to innovate your direct mail approach? At the Monthly Giving Summit, Letter Labs is hosting a workshop on day 2, which is February 26th, called Ink That Converts, Rethinking Direct Mail for Deeper Donor Connection and Growth. In this session, you will build a dynamic, modern direct mail strategy designed for 2026 and beyond that's innovative, automated, and actually feels human. If you've been wondering how direct mail fits into this digital first world and specifically your nonprofit, this workshop will completely change how you think about it and give you the time and the experts in the room to workshop it with you. So RSVP for free at monthlyGivingSummit.com or click the link in the show notes. When was the last time you felt joy opening your mailbox? Not to see a bill, not a general nonprofit appeal, but something that felt personal, unexpected. Because in a world where nonprofits are competing in very overcrowded inboxes and can feel like noisy social feeds, direct mail, I think, is having a comeback. Today, I am joined by Brandon Gady, CEO of Letter Labs, a robotics-powered direct mail company reinventing what personalization looks like at scale, and Kat Connolly, who leads community marketing and helps brands build meaningful real-world connections. We are unpacking what joy in the mailbox actually means, how nonprofits can rework sending what used to feel like transactional mail, and some really smart multi-channel strategies and what they look like now. Like, where might you be overspending? Where are you under investing? How can you dramatically shift response rates? Because if your mail is going straight to recycling, I think there's some ideas in this conversation today. We are also going to have a great webinar together on March 30th at 1 p.m. It's going to be about taking a deeper dive into direct mail with Letter Labs. So join us there. Link is in the show notes. Let's go ahead into today's conversation.
Well, I think the thing that we've really been successful with is, taking the software to help kind of elevate direct mail in a way where it's like through hyper personalization to the individual, segmenting out the donor audience that you're going after, like what your messaging is as a result, and pairing it in together with email, SMS, and paid ads as well, so that it's not just direct mail, but it's direct mail working alongside your other marketing channels. And I think all of those things together are ways that it's really elevating direct mail to be at a lot more value as, more of a key piece of your modern marketing channels.
Woo, woo. We are recording this fresh off of the Monthly Giving Summit. Actually, literally, it happened yesterday as we are recording this live. The day after, I might have spent the majority of this morning in my pajamas with my laptop on my lap, working away on all the things. And one of the most talked about sessions was around direct mail with this Letter Labs team. Brandon, Kate, welcome to Missions to Movements.
Thank you. We're so excited to be here.
Thanks, Anna. Yeah, it's a pleasure being here.
I'm excited to take people really behind the scenes of what you don't get to hear during a live video produced experience and behind the team. Because I think that really makes up about also who you just want to work with and partner with is the people behind it. Brandon, I really want to start with you and what drew you into this work? What made you want to create this company and direct mail specifically with robotics, I think is really interesting and different. What made you think there's something about this that maybe is different or people are underestimating or I can do different?
Absolutely. So it started back in 2016. I actually had an e-commerce brand previously, and I had done a ton of marketing, everything from email, paid ads, and everything under the sun. And I had really stumbled upon direct mail. And what I quickly realized is that there's a huge potential, but that was kind of a pain in the butt to execute. And so after having done that, I'd actually stumbled into, writing my own handwritten mail to clients, basically just thanking them for, making a purchase and just seeing how impactful it was and the connection I was able to make as a result. I quickly realized that, this is making a huge impact, but it's really not scalable. And so that was kind of the impetus of starting Letter Labs, where, I met my co-founder and we ultimately created our own robotics to create handwritten mail to start.
So
But
cool.
then as we progress further, just realized that, hey, there's a lot more we can do in the space with, printed mail, handwritten mail, and creating the software around it to make it a kind of a seamless and scalable experience.
So, oh my God. So from a founder, like entrepreneur side, tell me like from 2016 to now, a decade later, what's changed the most in what you do or what you've seen work, I guess, too?
Well, I think the thing that we've really been successful with is, taking the software to help kind of elevate direct mail in a way where it's like through, hyper personalization to the individual, segmenting out the donor audience that you're going after, like what your messaging is as a result, and pairing it in together with email, SMS, and paid ads as well, so that it's not just direct mail, but it's direct mail working alongside your other marketing channels. And I think all of those things together are ways that it's really elevating direct mail to be at a lot more value as, more of a key piece of your like modern marketing channels.
Totally. I love that point. And Kate, you were in the workshop room yesterday with Robert on your team. And you had like 250, 300 people in there. And I think what I was seeing was also there's such a variety of size of organization that really wants to do direct mail and sometimes can't because there's that quantity minimums. Can you talk about like what did you hear? What did you see? Like what was popping up during the workshop to you in regards to that and like top things that maybe came up in the chat?
A lot of people using direct mail. I think there was a lot of curiosity about how it can honestly just save them time and bandwidth. A lot of these nonprofits that we're working with and that were in the workshop yesterday, they are very limited on resources. And so if they're spending $1,000 to blanket a large list of folks, it's not necessarily the most thoughtful use of those resources, let alone if they're, handwriting thank you cards to every donor. It's so impactful and wonderful to receive. I know because I'm a recipient of a lot of those as well. And you have that moment of like, wow, that really made an impact, but it takes time. And what I think the most curiosity that I was seeing in the chats was the authenticity that comes through with it and how scalable it is. And the big point of difference for me when I started with Letter Labs, I was looking at our mail, and what I love the most about it is because it's actually written with a pen. I'm a skeptic. I've done mailers myself. When I receive, a roofer leaves a handwritten note.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And it's clearly laser printed. To me, it has the opposite of that authenticity because I'm like, you didn't even try to make it, And with ours, because of the technique with the robots, it is actually pen to paper. So when you're receiving that, it is someone spent the time writing you that note. And
I don't know if I ever told you guys this. Sorry, I was just say 2 years ago for MGS 2024, we sent out mailers. Did I ever tell you I got one back?
No.
I got a thank you card back for my note.
That's amazing.
We've heard that from several
Isn't
clients.
that cool?
It's so sweet. It's such a lost art.
Yeah. So I think, okay, I loved this conversation too. And I know you both can maybe like pepper in on this. It's like, where do you think direct mail in the nonprofit sector is really uniquely positioned for 2026 and going into 2027?
Earlier in the conversation, we were talking a little bit about, personalization and segmentation. And I think where it's really well positioned is kind of flipping the script from nonprofits approaching things from talk about, hey, what have we done and what I need essentially to personalizing it to involve the donor, helping to quantify their impact and helping them understand that their continued support is going to continue to impact, XYZ result. And I think really involving donors to help them understand their impact and taking them on a personalized journey so that they're not just getting the same note that, a first-time donor isn't getting the same note as a monthly giving donor. And so I think that level of personalization helps connect with people. And I think coupled with the handwritten approach, each piece of mail can be totally personalized to the individual, where our software is able to create that automatically based on segmentation from your CRM, like Bloomreach or other things like that. And so I think that level of personalization and segmentation is a huge opportunity to level up nonprofits' direct mail campaigns, whether they're sending, a few notes a month to, tens or hundreds of thousands a month.
Which I think that's super powerful too, is like the old school quantity piece, right? Of having to send out mass mailers at one time and really making it customized. And you brought up something too that I want to bring up around integration. So historically, it's been very manual to do. And one of my favorite things was I remember when we started like partnering together, you even asked me like, who should we partner with? Like that was one of your questions. Who are the CRMs out there? And I think that's part of a great partnership is both learning from each other. As of now, this recording, what CRMs do you partner with to be able to do this like really customized automation? And I don't know if you can talk about some of the ones that are kind of in the works.
Of course. No, absolutely. And so, I mean, at this point right now, we have three main channels that we're able to integrate with for nonprofits. Like the first that's, easy just to start with is going to be Zapier. That connects with, 7 to 8,000 different integrations.
Everything.
So you can do everything from basically connect with everything. With that being said, the other two options we have as well are going to be webhooks. So that's another way that you can send data from your CRM and with a variety of triggers or open API. We're currently actually in progress working on multiple nonprofit integrations right now from Bloomreach, Razor's Edge, Fundraise Up, and a host of other integrations. And so over the next couple months, we have quite a few native integrations.
Are you in
up and
HubSpot
running.
yet?
We're actually in beta testing now. So we have the ability to get moving on that. So Salesforce and HubSpot are other ones that we have ready to go that are great integrations for our nonprofit donors.
Amazing. Amazing. And then Kate, I know in the session, this was something that Robert brought up too, was like joy in the mailbox. And it sounds so nostalgic, but it's true. Like actually every single day with my daughter, who's almost 3, because she comes home from school and I'm talking every single day, I open her door and she's like, Mommy, did you get the mail? And we run down to the mailbox together. She's not tall enough to open it yet yourself. So I lift her up. I'm going to cry the day she's tall enough. And I lift her up and she pulls the thing out and she pulls out the envelopes. And that's like most of the time it's credit card applications. And I do get a lot of nonprofit mail and it's very traditional 10-inch. You guys would probably know the size better. I think it's envelopes. Mm-hmm. But how do you create joy and delight in the mailbox these days?
Oh, it's such a good question. I keep bringing this up with Brandon because this is something that's like, I experience it so often, but I always just think about like the kitchen table moment. That is something that you could talk about in so many different industries. I worked for a long time with a specialty chocolate company, and we would talk about like sitting around the table and the memories that you have of like your grandma made cookies. And it's this place where it's the kind of the cornerstone of your house and your life. And for me, in relation to mail, like mail isn't all that exciting. It feels like a chore as an adult to go. I mean, how wonderful you've got your daughter to bring some joy into it, because when I check the mail, I'm like, I'm excited if I get a handwritten card or, like a wedding invitation or maybe the Costco flyer or whatever, but most of it just goes straight into the recycling. But I take it in and I set it on my kitchen counter or my table, and I'm sorting through it and immediately discarding 90% of it. I don't even open. It just goes immediately to get recycled. And the moment when you get the thank you card or the Christmas card or whatever it is, it feels like the world kind of calms down around you. There aren't that many sincere human moments in the world that we live in right now, right? We're all working remotely or, sending text messages instead of making phone calls. And there's just something really emotional to me about when you're holding this letter that was made so intentionally for you and someone thought of you. And I just think it's so beautiful.
In the monthly donor journey, I always advise organizations to really think about the moment of retention, right? And like as soon as somebody gives, like having that 1 week later, they're getting that handwritten postcard or card. Then can you capture really meaningful data points like a birthday or a 6-month anniversary, happy 6-month anniversary, right? Those like personal, exciting things that it's not a wedding invitation, but it's personal to them. Or happy 1-year anniversary of being part of the program, or a milestone moment of like, wow, you've donated over X time, $1,000 towards this cause. And this is the impact it brings. Like you can get so smart, like with the Zapier integrations, Zapier, I don't know which way is like technically the right way to say it, but you can get so personalized on making it special to them. And Brandon, what do you think if you were advising a listener right now on, let's say it's a mid-sized nonprofit, all nonprofits are tight on budget usually. How would you rethink and strategize if you're like sitting down with them in a strategy session on how to use direct mail and how to work it into their budget?
Well, I think to really focus in on what are kind of the like low hanging fruit and like the quick wins we can accomplish and then build from there. And I think the two things that really stand out to me are retention is a much bigger ROI to start than new acquisition. And
Oh my
so
gosh,
let's
huge.
go after who can we win back and how can we get them back and who can we move from a, once a year gift to a monthly giving. And those are two kind of quick wins that I would go after. As you kind of progress from there, I think going after, donor elevation is probably like the third. And then once those things are working well, then I would say look at the acquisition. And, there's a lot of opportunities we have there to create like lookalike audiences and, targeting prospects who reflect your best donors as well. But I think that if you can get quick wins here, that'll start paying for and supporting your other, more complex campaigns.
So interesting. Where do you think, and I might know the answer based on what you just said, where do you think organizations would be overspending right now?
When I think of like typical nonprofit mailers, it's the like number 10 envelope, color outside with a, many pages on the inside with a, nice looking return envelope. The thing about it is it looks very nice. It's worked for years, but everybody's doing it. And it's the exact same thing as everybody else is doing. And so I think the thing about it is mixing it up and trying different formats. And I think whether it's handwritten or you even have products that are, a mix of handwritten envelopes and printed mailers on the inside to kind of change the approach here. But I don't think you need to have the return envelope unless it's, for, specific segments and
Yes.
yeah, donor segments. But overall, it's like those pieces are so expensive and are so time consuming to create that I would really kind of flip the script to be rather than focusing on doing these mass mailers, change it to be let's do automated sending where it's each piece is personalized to the individual rather than the blanket one size
Yeah.
fits all, because the second you receive the one size fits all, that's not meant for me, that's meant for everybody.
It's true. I've been sent so many. I know we've had this conversation, like 60 direct mail pieces that I like analyzed. They were all the same or had nickels in them. And one had a fake 50-cent coin in it, which I don't know how much that was to send. A ton
A
of them
lot.
have the return sticker. It's like all these like tchotchke things. And I just think the personalization, which doesn't necessarily like doesn't cost anything more. It's probably less to be able to send it out but it's in a way more authentic way to that person. I think is so true. We're going to talk about all of these like more strategies and visuals. We have a webinar that's going to be on March 30th, listener, at 1 p.m. Eastern time. I'll have the link in the show notes. You can check it out. It's diving deeper, a direct mail webinar with Letter Labs. And so we're really going to be like combing through questions and things that came up in the chat from the monthly giving summit in this conversation and in your registration to be able to pull together a really great webinar to show you some of these examples. When people ask me what direct mail platform I recommend most, my answer is always Letter Labs. You spell that Lettr Labs. And I say it because I've used it. I trust it. It works. It's incredibly easy to use, which matters when your team is already stretched thin. You can set up streamlined automations, AKA monthly donor gives, and then they automatically receive a custom thank you handwritten card. 6 months down the line, they could receive another card. 3 months down the line, you get the point here. The creative options are so powerful. From the handwritten cards that really feel personal and warm to large visual trifolds that demand attention and stand out in the inbox. But what I really think sets Letter Labs apart is the ability to retarget high intent supporters. They can identify site visitors, including mailing addresses, and automatically send them timely, relevant mail without the manual effort. It is one of the smartest ways I have seen nonprofits really blend digital behavior with the human connection of a direct mail piece. So if you're interested, click the link in the show notes to learn more about Letter Labs and their services and get a special nonprofit discount by using our link. You talked about something interesting just now, and that was lookalike audiences. And then, Kate, you also talked about lead reveal in the workshop. Can you both talk about these are kind of like maybe new terms that feel innovative and a different way to use like acquisition?
Talking about lead reveal first, what lead reveal is that we have the ability to uncover who your anonymous website traffic is so that we can target them with direct mail. And so how we do this is that we have a pixel that we created that we add to your site. And under specific situations, we can have this pixel fire. And so a good example of this could be like, let's say, Dana, if you go to a nonprofit's website and you check the about us and let's say one or two more pages, that would indicate to me that you're very interested. And what we could also do is that if you don't donate during your session, we can actually, send you a printed postcard or some type of mail piece at that point. But if
So
you
cool.
do donate, we won't send anything. And so there's a lot of opportunities we have here to leverage this. And I think one really great kind of a tactical use case that I always recommend is, if nonprofits are spending on digital ads, which can be quite expensive, add this pixel to the landing page. And so you'll understand who goes to that landing page if they don't donate. But if they do donate, we won't send anything.
Interesting.
And so it's a really great way to increase the ROAS on your digital
Yeah.
campaigns and also help you understand who these people are, because in many cases, we'll be able to not only get their name and their address, but we can also get their personal email so you can retarget through other digital channels as well. And so that technology is a absolute game changer and works so well. So that's one,
Wow.
if you kind of go back to our earlier conversation, one strategy that I would recommend would absolutely be this. Turn on lead reveal, especially if you're doing digital campaigns.
Yeah, that's big. And I think some people might be like, oh, that's creepy. But I'm kind of like, but that's already happening, everyone, on digital. It's been happening for decades on digital, by the way. That's how you get retargeted with ads all the time. And it's actually happening in a ton of for-profit businesses. And that's why you get random mailers all the time. I've noticed like when I'm on the Delta website, oh, wow, suddenly I'm getting like a Delta Amex mailer in the mail. Like this is not new. It's just more new to us to use. And so I think if you do it in a very personalized, again, not weird way, it actually is very cool. And again, can help you because we all have lizard brains in recapturing people to be able to actually take action. And look, if they don't want to give, they're not going to give at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And I totally agree with you. I think in this situation, my recommendation would be, send a printed postcard of some sort to the person. Handwritten in this situation, you can do it, but it can be a little overbearing, I think. But when everybody's so busy in their daily life, clearly these people were interested in your nonprofit and your mission. And so this is just another kind of touch point to help remind them, hey,
it can just be impact based.
You were interested in this.
Mm-hmm.
Send them to a video, send them to a blog. It doesn't even have to have any ask messaging on it, but just getting them back involved, back seeing your name come across the screen, I think is amazing. So as we wrap, 5 years from now, we're going to do some like macro, and I want answers from both of you on this because you've both been in the marketing space for a while. What will separate nonprofits whose mail gets opened from, Kate, to your point, for ones that go straight into recycling? Kate, I'll start with you.
I think at the end of the day, it is the nonprofits that embrace the technology that we are living in the world with anyway. And they're using those automations and segmentations to hone their audience. They're working smarter, not harder on who they're sending to. And I think instead of the staff bandwidth that was going to manually sorting and handwriting and everything, they're using that on the impact side of things. And they're doing more case studies on the impact that their donors are having. And they're putting that messaging on paper and reinforcing the impact their donors are having, whether it's small monthly donations, annual donations, whatever it may be. Those are the nonprofits that are going to come out ahead 5 years from now. This reminds me, my coach that I had worked with when AI was kind of coming up a few years ago, I was like, I hate it. It's so creepy. I don't want to use it, blah, 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 blah. And he was like, I get it, but you got to join in because otherwise you're going to fall behind. And you don't have to love the macro concept of it or all of that, but the rest of the world is using it. So if you don't, you fall behind. And that's where I think we need to think about where technology and direct mail intersects. We have all this brilliant information and this pixel capability for lead reveals and all sorts of ways to measure ROI and impact and all of that. Other nonprofits are using it. So if you're not getting the visibility or the fridge space or the kitchen table moment that
Yeah.
other people are.
I love that answer. I love what you just said. It's the blend of mail is the thing that's been around for as long as we can remember, riding on horseback to deliver a note to someone, right? And then you have the blend of technology to make it hyper personalized, kind of like it was super back then, but at scale. So absorbing and like having the curiosity to really get creative, I think that's a great perspective. Brandon, what do you think?
I totally agree with Kate. I think to add further to it, would say the personalization segmentation allow each note to be personalized to the person. By leveraging automations, we go from sending 10,000 generic pieces to one of one piece. And I think nonprofits who focus on creating different journeys or cadences that donors will flow through will ensure that we're speaking to the individual and taking information that we already know about their impact and other information. We can use that to really personalize each piece. I think with that being said further, I think that it all makes sense, I would say, from that perspective for sure. But on the backside of it, I think really being curious about testing, measuring ROI, doing A/B testing, and some of the features that I'd recommend all nonprofits use on our platform include A/B testing to see what creative and copy makes the biggest impact. Also using holdout testing so that we can measure incrementality to show, hey, would these donors would have donated either way, or what's the incremental lift? And I think with that being said, is really treating this as pulling direct mail into kind of the 21st century with the same tools that you use for digital ads, we've developed as well for direct mail. And so not only focusing on connecting with people, but also measuring the lift and constantly be tinkering there. Because I think the big difference here is that so many nonprofits have done the same, number 10 mailer for the last 20 years.
And the donors, and what's big is changing is the generational giving. And so there's going to be a big shift. And usually, like our generation, I do love getting mail. I am not going to put a check in an envelope. I don't own checks.
Right.
Right. And so we have to really start thinking about these mass mailers, if they're going to go out, like talk to, no matter who you're working with. This is my big thing. Like, are they actually a partner of yours, or are they just a vendor? Because if they're not going to have a strategic conversation with you about looking at the future of how you're sending out direct mail pieces, I would not be working with them. Like, you want a strategic advisor that's along your side to be able to make sure that it's of value to not only your organization, but the people who are receiving these pieces. So it's all about relationships and understanding, like, where is our future donor base going? Who are we trying to attract? What's going to actually work for them? So thank you both so much. Oh yeah, Brandon, go ahead.
One thing that we recommend too is, let's cut down the waste in terms of, we don't need to include a mailer that goes back, or like to mail the check back, and it's something where
no direct mail person ever.
Right. It's like, obviously, like, we'd make more money if we did, but to be honest with you, like, we're focused so much on providing the best ROI for our clients as possible. And we know that, include a QR code on there or a URL, because your donor also sees the waste and they don't need the remittance envelope. They want to know that their donation has the biggest impact possible. And so by being, effective in these ways, it ultimately provides, more resources for your mission.
I love it.
That's such an important point, because this is a pet peeve of mine with mail that I get, to what you were saying, Dana. You're getting a nickel or whatever. When I'm donating to you and then you're sending me unnecessary things back, I'm not donating to the nonprofit to fund you putting nickels in envelopes to donors. I'm giving you money to feed these dogs.
In some cases, it must work, or else they wouldn't do it, right? It must work. I mean, I'm sure. I open them because I don't want to waste a nickel.
Yeah, it's illegal to throw it away. and pennies are going extinct. I think it's really important. Sure, I'm sure that is working for certain segments, perhaps.
Sure.
Some audiences, some nonprofits, but
what I think it provides is like a layer of guilt. Oh, they sent me money, therefore I must give. And that's a horrible place to have it come from, in my opinion.
Absolutely is.
In my opinion. I would love to there's gonna be so many examples that we can talk through and some case studies of actually how this donor journey, different ones can be broken up and show some different examples in a visual way at this webinar. So join all of us back on March 30th at 1 p.m. It's totally free to join us. It's going to be 60 minutes. We will have recordings available. So just get your name on the registration list. Brandon, Kate, thank you so much for all of your thought leadership at the Monthly Giving Summit and today here too. And then we'll see you all in a little bit.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having us today.
Yeah, thanks so much, Dana. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of Missions to Movements. If you enjoyed our conversation and found it helpful, I would love for you to take a moment to leave a review wherever you're listening. Your feedback helps us reach more change makers like you and continue bringing impactful stories and strategies to the show. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button too, so you'll never miss an episode. And until next time, keep turning your mission into a movement. Thank you so much for tuning in to Missions to Movements today. If your nonprofit has a monthly giving program that isn't growing, or you haven't built one yet, I am very excited to announce the Monthly Giving Builder. This is my self-paced resource for you that gives you the strategy, the systems, the plan to build out your recurring revenue plan. This is a clear blueprint. Monthly giving is not a fundraising tactic. It truly is infrastructure, and you do not have to build it alone. I call this my monthly giving companion. If you have read my book, The Monthly Giving Mastermind, the 5-step process and framework that I teach is literally built out into the Monthly Giving Builder and provides for you custom deliverables along the way. So head to monthlygivingbuilder.com and use code MGBLucky, all caps, to save 17% off because March 17th is my birthday and it's the official launch month. So again, it's monthlygivingbuilder.com and use the code MGBLucky to save 17%. But don't wait because this offer and discount will end on March 31st.